The United States is the wealthiest nation on Earth. But for tens of millions of Americans, that wealth feels like it belongs to a completely different world. One they can see but never quite reach. The gap between the rich and everyone else has never been wider. The top 1% of households now owns nearly 32% of all U.S. wealth, the highest share ever recorded since the Federal Reserve began tracking it in 1989. And that's not just a statistic. The wealthiest 1% collectively holds about $55 trillion in assets, roughly equal to the combined wealth of the bottom 90% of Americans. Meanwhile, wages at the bottom have barely moved. The lowest paid 10% of workers earn around $14.56 an hour. Compare that to top earners, whose wages have grown more than double the rate since 1979. And the federal minimum wage? It's still $7.25. If it had kept pace with top earner wage growth, it would be nearly $21 today. The cost of simply existing has exploded. Since 2021, U.S. consumer prices have risen over 24%. Food is up nearly 27%. Rent is up over 28%. Transportation costs are up nearly 30%. Housing costs alone have surged 81% since 2017, while average earnings grew only 43% over that same period. For lower-income households, who spend a far larger share of their income on rent, that math is devastating. Nearly half of all Americans, about 49%, don't have the resources to cover their essential daily expenses, and roughly 2/3 say they're cutting back on groceries or buying less food altogether. 1 in 3 Americans skipped a meal in the past year just to get by. 1 in 4 delayed or went without medical care. These aren't choices. They're the painful arithmetic of a paycheck that simply doesn't stretch far enough. The emotional toll is immense. Chronic financial stress is linked to anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of hopelessness. When you're constantly making impossible choices between food, medicine, and rent, the weight of that never leaves you. The physical consequences follow. Skipping prescriptions, avoiding the doctor, eating cheaper and less nutritious food. These are survival decisions that quietly erode a person's health over years and even decades. And escaping the bottom is brutally hard. There's what researchers call a benefits cliff. The moment you earn just a little more money, you lose assistance programs, and suddenly you're worse off than before you got that raise. The system, in many ways, punishes the act of trying. As one Wall Street strategist